You're on, Clay. Alright. So Tyler got this fixed up. So this is the flashover video that we were trying to play. So on one side, it's just a regular camera, and then the other side is through a thermal imager. So it's gonna let you see basically just like you would see without a camera, and then just with the assistance of a thermal imager checking the temperatures. The new thermal imagers, I believe they said, are not coming with the temperature on there because they can be inaccurate. So they want people to read their thermal imagers by the color and the color palette on the right hand side rather than the temperature. And I think they got it in, I think it's in like a search mode right now, or low temp mode, and then they'll change it here in just a second. What is crazy is when you get in the fire behavior lab, you'll be able to see the lines on where the thermal layering and the smoke is. You'll be able to see the temperature lines in there.
And this is in real time?
Yeah. So see, they just changed it. See how the color changed? So they went to the fire mode and it increased the temperature. It's not a low temp mode anymore. But you can see how it's starting to drop. It's starting to drop now on the furniture. And you'll see the furniture and the carpet start to off gas before it flashes. Yeah, look at the furniture starting to. And there he goes. Kind of what we talked about earlier about the flow and go, or flow and move. Okay, why are we crawling down a hallway like this? If you had your thermal imager and was looking up, you'd be able to see you got flames going, all right, rolling behind you. And as you crawl down the hallway and that's rolling behind you, what's it going to do?
Light off behind you.
Light off behind you, so what'd that do? What'd that take? Took your exit, right? So we have to cool that environment as we're making that approach. The days of just wait till we get to the room of content is over with. I mean, we just know too much about it now. Obviously, they're doing this for a fire cam video, right, to show their product, but that's an exact example of what we shouldn't be doing.
But was the way Captain Bowen and I were training to do, is crawl right up on top of it and don't, because what were they afraid we were doing?
Pushing fire.
Pushing fire.
Pushing
That's
fire.
what I was told all through my recruit academy 29 years ago.
Yeah, and then the
It's
crazy,
not
they
true.
talk about, you know, and then there'll be, I got water mapping videos on here that are like 3 or 4 minutes long that are really good about understanding about not pushing fire with, you're not pushing fire with the water, it's the air entrainment, right, that we're doing it with. And I know Captain Rupp was one of like the first people here that was really, really big into that. And I don't know if people have been here for a while, remember the hour, 2 hour, 3 hour videos on water mapping, but I mean, it's, you know, it makes sense, right? I mean, what they talk about, So preventing a flashover, right? Obviously, we want to cool with water. All right, that's the number one thing we want to do. 185 GPMs on our nozzles now, whether they're smooth bore or fog nozzle, right? Straight across the board. So we got plenty of water. What's ventilation going to do? What's ventilation going to do for us?
Depends on when it occurs. It can either make your situation much worse or much better.
Yep. Remember back in the day again, you know, what were we doing on every fire?
Cutting holes.
Opening the roof.
Cutting holes over the roof, putting a fan in the front.
Opening the roof, all right? What are we doing with the windows?
Breaking
all of them, right? It was a free-for-all. Not anymore, all right? The windows we break, it's going to introduce more oxygen. I've always told my guys that if we can, try not to break the window. If it works, put it up. Why is that?
You can put it back down.
You can put it back down, right? If something happens, right? And we've all been there before where it's like, hey, start the fan, right? And 10 minutes of being out in the street, it's like, oh, you know, we've got something that we didn't get. So we might have to put that window down, and it's a lot easier just to put it down. So close the door, minimize the oxygen. We talked about that, especially on your 360, or if you're making that push down the hallway, you know, shut the doors as you go, right? Shut those doors, shut down that flow path. When all else fails, get out. Is that all right? Is it okay for us to get out?
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, we're not giving up. But at least back up, get your shit together, right, and make another push. Get your stuff together, right, and then we can all go home. So, kind of we talked about earlier, warning signs of a flashover. You got high heat, a known fire in the building with high heat, heavy black smoke. You got that rollover, and you guys are going to see all this stuff in the fire behavior lab. You know, you read about it, you see it on a PowerPoint, but actually sitting in the can with your thermal imager, being able to see this stuff is pretty cool. All right, and when we do get the fire behavior lab going, you know, if we have really good days, it reacts differently to what the weather is outside. So hopefully we have 3 good days when it's here, and you guys get plenty of flashes. Lack of ventilation, that's that vent limited fire. Remember when we used to do the no showing mode on our responses? You know, I'm not sure if that's is that still in the policy?
It is.
You know, I couldn't even tell you because I know we don't do it, but does nothing showing mean that nothing's going on anymore?
Nope. No.
I mean, you know, that fire may have been there, that someone called it in, but it's gone vent limited, right, prior to our arrival, and we show up, nothing's showing, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing there, so just be
So
aware
what
of
are some
that.
things you're gonna look at to say it's vent limited, there's no more fire, nothing's vented itself out? What are you looking at?
Windows.
Smoke stained
blocked
windows.
out.
Smoke stained windows.
Mhm.
You know, take a look at them. Again, you're 360, don't just walk around the building, but look at it and, okay, that's a sign.
Yep. Who else can help you out in the front yard if somebody's there? The occupant? All right, make sure you ask them questions. Again, going back to Chief Sprinkle, I know he was on the scene of a fire one time, talked to the occupant and got the exact location of the fire. Engine 6 got there and Doobie was acting. And Sprinkle said, hey, go up the stairs, take a left, go down the hallway, and the fire's gonna be in the room on the left-hand side. And it was right where he told him it was at, and Dude come outside and was like, man, you're the man, how did you know that? And of course, Sprinkle said, I'm that good. You know, he didn't tell him, but he talked to the occupant before they got there, right? I mean, find the layout of the house, where's the fire at? Use that resource. So here's where we're start to talk about water mapping a little bit. Everybody seen these videos at all? Anybody not seen them? Videos on water mapping, all right? This talks about water distribution in the room itself, and then also how the fire can be affected with air entrainment between a fog nozzle and a smoothbore nozzle, just on how it reacts, all right? Let's see here. I may not want to play the videos just yet. Here we go. So there's like 3 videos that are real short, and if you guys want to take like a 10-minute break, that's fine too. The Fire Academy's got one of these buildings over there that they built. They're trying to get it to where it's mobile, and it was like
Understanding the
$25,000
fundamentals
to
of
build or
host stream
something like that. It
mechanics
was pretty
is vital
expensive
to the
project to build.
success of fire suppression operations on the fire ground. This includes knowing how and when to utilize air entrainment to your advantage, understanding when air entrainment can be your enemy, and understanding how to best apply water to various application patterns, stream angles, and deflection methods to successfully map the compartments inside a structure. Before discussing the impact of air entrainment on suppression operations, we must first understand how a water droplet moving through space entrains air. As the bail of the nozzle opens and the water leaves the end of the nozzle, the momentum of the hose stream propels the droplets forward. As the droplets impact the air ahead of them, an area of high pressure is created. In the wake of these droplets, there is now an area of low pressure, which causes surrounding air to be pulled in and carried forward with the droplet in an attempt to equalize the pressure. The air drawn in by these moving droplets is known as entrainment. If we visualize how many droplets make up a typical hose stream from either a smoothbore or combination nozzle, the potential impact and magnitude of air entrainment should be clear. In short, how we manipulate a hose stream inside a structure can change the amount of air that is entrained and has the potential to significantly affect fire dynamics and victim survivability during suppression. Now let's take a look at water mapping, or how water is distributed within a compartment. Surface cooling is vital to the success of extinguishment, stopping the heat absorption and subsequent re-radiation of the hot surfaces back into the compartment, which contributes to the heating of fuels, speeding up fire growth, and and transition through flashover. Learning how to employ different stream types, application patterns, stream angles, and methods of deflection will assist the nozzle operator in game time decision making to most effectively distribute water and map the surfaces inside a compartment during suppression. Coupling together the concepts of air entrainment in hose streams and the principles surrounding effective water mapping in structures will enable firefighters to most effectively apply water on the fire ground to maximize the potential survivability of trapped occupants and quickly suppress the fire.
The next video is going to talk about the difference between how much air entrainment between a smooth bore and a combination nozzle.
Past research has shown the importance of a flow and move approach during interior fire suppression for the survivability of trapped occupants and the safety of operating firefighters. This approach allows us to take advantage of maximum surface cooling while utilizing a moderate amount of air entrainment. Let's begin by taking a look at air entrainment values with different stream types and application patterns. Suppose that you are positioned at the start of a hallway holding a straight or a solid stream aimed downrange in a fixed position with no manipulation. In this case, you are entraining about 1,000 to 2,000 cubic feet per minute of air into the stream. As soon as you start to manipulate that stream into an O pattern, you increase the air entrain to approximately 4,000 to 6,000 CFM. This will occur regardless of the type of pattern chosen and is more dependent on the speed of the application. If we now change from a straight or solid stream to a fog stream, the air entrainment increases dramatically. For example, a narrow fog stream held fixed entrained approximately 10,000 CFM of air. If we now manipulate that fog stream into an O pattern, we can expect to see the air entrainment in excess of 15,000 CFM. This magnitude of air entrained with fog streams can be comparable to that of a positive pressure fan. It is important to understand that these values are similar regardless of whether you choose a straight stream from a combination nozzle or a solid stream from a smoothbore nozzle. Air entrainment in hose streams is less dependent on the flow and nozzle pressure and more dependent on the movement of the stream and the speed of the pattern chosen. As we have learned through the suppression studies, straight or solid streams maintain large enough droplets to ensure the maximum amount of heat is absorbed and the most amount of surfaces are cooled. In contrast, utilizing a fog stream may be effective at absorbing heat from the gas layer, but the size of the droplets do not allow for sufficient surface cooling. With minimal surface cooling and maximal air entrainment, fog patterns are not an effective stream choice for initial knockdown of a post-flashover, ventilation-limited fire. One successful means of extinguishment is to employ an O pattern on the advance to a fire compartment. During a flow and move advance, this pattern can essentially seal off the space ahead of the advancing hose line, taking advantage of air entrainment to draw fresh air in behind. This will prevent the products of combustion from coming back over the firefighters while allowing the higher temperature, higher pressure gases behind the firefighters to ventilate out of the structure. Venting of the gases behind the advancing crew will improve survivability for trapped occupants and visibility for searching firefighters. Applying an O pattern on the approach to a fire compartment will ensure that the surfaces are cool and will limit the thermal exposure to the nozzle team on the advance. Water applied in the hallway is simply used to help the nozzle team get to the fire compartment safely and begin to take control of the space. However, water applied in the hallway will not be able to map surfaces inside of the compartments. Once the nozzle team has an idea of the location of the fire, attempts should be made to get water into the compartments as early as possible. This could include deflecting the hose stream off of the door frame of the fire compartment for early water application onto the seat of the fire. As the nozzle team reaches the threshold of the compartment, the same approach to that of exterior water should be taken. An initial steep angle will coat all surfaces in the compartment. Once the fire is darkened down, the stream can then be brought lower onto the remaining burning fuels. After the fire is extinguished, the nozzle team should employ hydraulic ventilation out of any available opening to aid in smoke removal from the structure.
we hydraulically ventilate with a smoothbore?
Yeah, you just don't move as much air.
Yeah, just don't open it up as much, and it's not gonna be as good as a fog nozzle, but you can still do it.
Applying water from the exterior of a structure into a fire compartment requires a solid understanding of the impact of air entrainment and water distribution. As we begin to discuss the principles of exterior suppression, let's take a look at how the angle in which the stream is applied will affect the distribution. If we apply a hose stream perpendicular to a surface, the water will radiate in 360 degrees. We often picture that as a stream applied straight ahead towards a wall, but now let's imagine that stream applied to the ceiling surface of a compartment. The shallower the angle into the compartment, the more water that will be propelled forward towards whatever wall or obstruction is opposite the opening in which the water is being applied. This does not provide any surface cooling to the ceiling or walls that are nearest the ventilation opening, where most of the burning is occurring. The steeper the angle into the compartment, the more water will radiate outwards in all directions, providing better surface coverage and better cooling. As the stream impacts the ceiling and the water radiates outwards, the momentum of the water carries it across the flat ceiling surface common in most residential structures. Once the water has coated the ceiling surface and reaches the side walls of the compartment, it falls down these surfaces in sheets. As the water reaches the floor, it now accumulates in pools in different areas depending on the obstructions that may or may not be present. This water application method nearly simultaneously coats all surfaces within a compartment and is extremely effective in suppression. During fire suppression, initially employing a steep stream to coat all interior surfaces simultaneously will rapidly reduce temperatures inside the fire compartment. The drop in temperatures causes the fire gases to contract, decreasing pressure, lowering temperatures, and improving survivability in adjoining spaces. Once the interior surfaces have been cooled and we have begun to knock down the fire, we must focus on getting water into the middle of the compartment to limit the likelihood of regrowth. If we are located on the same level as the fire, the nozzle can simply be inserted in the window and additional water can be applied to the remaining burning fuels. If we are located 1 or 2 floors below the fire, the hose stream can be deflected off of the window header or lintel to achieve additional distribution, followed by entry into the structure for final extinguishment. It's important to understand that utilizing a straight or solid stream during exterior water application is essential to ensure that we get the most amount of water into the compartment with the highest momentum, the largest droplet sizes, all while entraining the least amount of air. We must also ensure that the window opening is not occluded with the hose stream. An occluded vent will prevent the opening from serving as a low-pressure exhaust for the fire gases. Thus, the fire gases will be redirected to another low-pressure outlet within the structure. This is commonly referred to as pushing fire. Keeping the hose stream in a straight or solid pattern will limit the amount of air entrained and not disrupt the gases outside the fire compartment, whereas a fog stream employed into the opening will cause fire gases to move about the structure and potentially impact trapped victims and other firefighters operating on the interior.
All right, guys, what do you think about 10 minutes?